Bonjour, y'all. I've been wondering, what do we do when we're faced with opposition to the dreams God has given us? I want to look at Joseph in the Old Testament, in the book of Genesis, because God gave Joseph a dream. Specifically, he gave him two dreams, but in essence, they're the same thing. Now, we could debate whether or not Joseph tells his family about these dreams the right way, which I don't think he does, but still, the fact remains that God gave Joseph a dream. The dream basically was that Joseph was going to rule over his family, that they were going to bow down before him, and he was going to be in a position of authority. Now, I can only imagine in Joseph's young, youthful, foolish mind, he probably thought about this a lot, like, where is it going to happen? Is today the day? Is it starting now? And now am I going to be in the position to be where I was at in my dream that I know God gave me? And he's probably thinking all the time, like, oh, will it happen here? Or, maybe something happens with one of his brothers one day, and he's like, oh, maybe it's starting to come to pass. But none of that really matters, because Joseph gets thrown into a well by his brothers. And then he gets sold into slavery. And then he's brought into Egypt and he's sold again. Things just keep getting worse for Joseph. This dream that he had doesn't really matter. But what's interesting is Joseph keeps seeing this opposition to the dream as an opportunity to serve and honor God. While he's in Egypt at first, he's working for this guy Potiphar, and things are going great, and he's over everything in the house, and it's kind of like a little picture of the dream coming true. But then Joseph's framed for rape and thrown into prison. Things just got worse. But again, Joseph sees this as not as opposition, but an opportunity to serve and honor God. And he's there for a while, and he interprets dreams for two other prisoners. One of them gets restored, and the other one is, well, he loses his head, so to speak. Joseph tells the guy who's restored, hey, don't forget about me once you're before Pharaoh again. But spoiler alert, he's forgotten about. So for 2 more years, Joseph is in prison, serving and honoring God where he's at. Finally, he's put in this position where he can stand before Pharaoh and interpret his dreams, and he does, and he's finally put in this position to be second in the land, just under Pharaoh. But all along, Joseph was seeing opportunity instead of adversity. He was growing and becoming the man he needed to be. I find it really interesting that Joseph wasn't living out his dream, but he was helping others live out theirs. Right? These other people were having dreams, and Joseph was interpreting their dreams for them. He was helping them understand what their dreams meant. He didn't see the situations that he was in as adversity to his dream, but he saw them as opportunities to serve and honor God. And I think that's one of the big points that we need to take away from the story of Joseph, is that when we come up against opposition, we need to see it as an opportunity to serve and honor God. Sometimes we become so fixated on our dream that we miss what's going on around us. Now, I think God's given us all different dreams and visions of what he wants us to do. I know for me, I have this dream that I just want to see people know God. I want the whole world to know and love the same God I know and love. I want those who are lost and broken and hurting to know that God is for them, that he's with them, that he wants to be there to comfort them and to console them and to restore them to life and to make them something they didn't even know that they could become. That's what I want. That's the dream God's placed inside of me. And sometimes I see, and how that's going to play out, I really don't always know. Like, I'm never going to know, right? But I see sometimes these doors opening, and we've had this door open, and now I look at the situation in the world around us, and I get confused. I spend a lot of time confused, going, I don't understand. But the important thing is, do we look for opportunity to serve and honor God in the midst of what's going on around us? Or do we choose to stay fixated on what's going on? Do we choose to say, God, I don't understand, but I'm going to serve and honor you, and I'm going to help others along the way? I find it really interesting. Later on in the book, once Joseph's in this high position of power and authority, that his brothers do come into the land, and they bow before him, and he remembers his dream. See, I think the story is also about timing. Now, obviously, there's the timing where Joseph, or rather where the famine needed to be in the land, right? Because that's when his brothers came in. But there's also the timing for Joseph. I think Joseph needed to be the man that he needed to be in order for the dream to come to pass. I think Joseph had to go through a growing process. He had to go through the fire, the crucible, that he had to be a slave, that he had to then be in prison, that he had to go through all these things so that he could be the man God needed him to be in order for the dream to come about. Joseph had to go through those things. He had to spend time honoring and serving God when it looked like there was no hope. He had to spend time helping others and interpret their dreams in order for him to become the man he needed to be. It makes me wonder, how many times do we see delays or so-called delays and we shrink back from them instead of pushing into them? Because they're opportunities to serve and honor God. They're opportunities for us to grow, to become the people we need to be, the people God's trying to mold us into. Maybe if we stopped looking at adversity as a delay and started looking at it as an opportunity to serve and honor God and to grow, we wouldn't experience as many delays. Maybe if we chose to look past the situation into who God was, we'd be a lot better off. And that's what I want to encourage us today, you and me, is to look past the adversity, to look past the opposition and say, I'm going to choose to serve, honor, and love God in this situation. I'm going to choose not to put my eyes on everything I see, but instead see opportunity to serve, opportunity to love, opportunity to grow into the person I need to be. And trust me, I'm saying this more for me probably than anybody else. But let's take our eyes off the problems and put them on Christ. Let's refocus our vision on Him and see opportunity instead of adversity. Let's put our eyes back on Him and try to grow to become the people He wants us to be so that the dreams can come about. I don't know. It's just a thought.